Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. A very warm welcome to this Monday, 19th February 2024 morning Srimad-Bhagavatam talk. Today we are discussing from Srimad-Bhagavatam Canto 3, entitled The Status Quo, Chapter 2, Text 28. Before we discuss on this verse, let's sing Jai Radha Madhava. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Radha Govinda, Radha Govinda, Radha Govinda, Shri Radhe, Jai Nitai Sachinandana Gaurari, Nitai Sachinandana Gaurari, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol. जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्र शत श्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस श्रील श्री भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, श्रील नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय, प्रेम से गौ श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, मथुरा धाम की जय, जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय, गंगा माई की जय, यमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, सामवेद भक्त वृंद की जय. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatharine Sarvam Shri Krishnarpanamastu Krishne Materastu Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we are reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 2, Text 28. Kaumārīṁ darśayaṁś ceṣṭāṁ prekṣaṇīyāṁ vraja-okasām rudann hasan mugdha bāla-siṁhāvalokanaḥ. Kaumārīṁ darśayaṁś ceṣṭāṁ prekṣaṇīyāṁ vraja-okasām rudann hasan mugdha bāla-siṁhāvalokanaḥ. Kaumārīṁ darśayaṁś ceṣṭāṁ prekṣaṇīyāṁ vraja-okasām rudann hasan mugdha bāla-siṁhāvalokanaḥ. Word by word. Kaumārīṁ, just suitable to childhood. Darśayan, while showing. Ceṣṭāṁ, activities. Prekṣaṇīyāṁ, worthy to be seen. Vraja-okasām, by the inhabitants of the land of Vṛndāvana. Rudan, crying. Eva, just like. Hasan, laughing. Mugdha, struck with wonder. Bāla-siṁha, lion club. Avalokanaḥ, looking like that. Translation. When the Lord displayed his activities just suitable for childhood, he was visible only to the residents of Vṛndāvana. Sometimes he would cry and sometimes laugh, just like a child, and while so doing, he would appear like a lion cub. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. If anyone wants to enjoy the childhood pastimes of the Lord, then he has to follow in the footsteps of the residents of Vraja like Nanda, Upananda, and other parental inhabitants. A child may insist on having something and cry like anything to get it, disturbing the whole neighborhood, and then immediately after achieving the desired thing, he laughs. Such crying and laughing is enjoyable to the parents and elderly members of the family, so the Lord would simultaneously cry and laugh in this way and merge his devotee parents in the humor of transcendental pleasure. These incidents are enjoyable only by the residents of the Vraja like Nanda Maharaj and not by the impersonalist worshippers of Brahman or Paramatma. Sometimes when attacked in the forest by demons, Krishna would appear struck with wonder, but he looked on them like the cub of a lion and killed them. His childhood companions would also be struck with wonder, and when they came back home, they would narrate the story to their parents, and everyone would appreciate the qualities of their Krishna. Child Krishna did not belong only to his parents Nanda and Yashoda. He was a son of all the elderly inhabitants of Vṛndāvana and a friend of all contemporary boys and girls. Everyone loved Krishna. He was the life and soul of everyone, including the animals, the cows, and the calves. Before we discuss on this verse, let us offer some prayers. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Namashreshtham Manamapi Shachiputram Matra Swarupam Rupam Tasyagrajam Murupurim Maturim Goshtavatim Radha Kundam Girivaram Maho Radhika Madhavasham Prapto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Adadandastranam Dante Idam Yachaha Punaha Punaha Shriman Rupa Padambhojam Dhulisyam Janma Janmani. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vṛndāvaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Today we are reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Text 2, Chapter 2, Text 28. Kaumārīṁ darśayaṁś ceṣṭāṁ prekṣaṇīyāṁ vraja-okasām rudann hasan mugdha bāla-siṁhāvalokanaḥ. When the Lord displayed his activities just suitable for childhood, he was visible only to the residents of Vṛndāvana. Sometimes he would cry and sometimes laugh, just like a child, and while so doing, he would appear like a lion cub. So these are the verses that are taking place between Uddhava and Mahatma Vidura. Both of them are pure devotees of Krishna. And when the pure devotees of Krishna get together, the only thing that they do is talk about Krishna. That is the only talk that pure devotees of Krishna want to have. That is the only thing that they want to hear about. So this is the wonderful position of pure devotees of Krishna. Mad-chitta madgat prana. Bodhayanta parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam. So that is a main important thing. Kathayantascha mam nityam. Constantly they are involved in Krishna Katha. Kathayantascha mam nityam. And how they are involved, tushyanti cha ramanti cha. They are totally satisfied and totally in a blissful state of existence. And that is what is happening here between Uddhava and Mahatma Vidura. And there's been lots and lots of wonderful discussions about Krishna that has taken place here. And in this particular verse, it is concentrating on Krishna's pastimes as kaumārīṁ, Kumara pastime. That is the childhood pastimes. Kaumāram macharet prajñā, dharman bhagavatāniha, durlabham manusham janmam tadapi adruvam arthadam. As Srila Prahlad Maharaj mentions. So here it is, here the word kaumārīṁ is used. And Prahlad Maharaj says, Kaumaram macharet prajñā. And so from the childhood itself, this discussion of Krishna has to take place. Prajñā. Ashocyan anavashocastvam prajñā vadamscha bhashase. Gatasun agatasumscha nanu shochanti pandita. So this prajñā is someone who is interested in understanding their original nature. That is prajñā. So Krishna mentions to Arjuna, when Arjuna says that karpanya dosho apahata svabhava prachami tavam dharma sammudha cheta yeshreyasyam nishchitam bruhitan me shishyasteham sadhimam tvam prapannam. As Arjuna says to Krishna that now I do not know, Krishna, what I should be doing. I am surrendering onto you and I am becoming your disciple. Please tell me what is ultimately beneficial for me. Then Krishna says, Ashocyan and avashochastva. So you are lamenting for something that does not require lamentation, O Arjuna. And you are talking as if you are a learned person. Prajñā vadamscha bhashase. Gatasuna gatasumscha nanu shochanti pandita. A really learned person does not lament either for living or for dead. So this is the, when we are on that platform of Atma Rama. What is Atma Rama? Atma Rama is someone who can revel in the bliss within constantly. They do not need any external impulse for the so-called happiness. So in the material world, what happens is, yehi sansparshaja bhoga dukkhayona evate adyantavanta kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. So in the material world, all the so-called happiness is dependent on sense perception. If the senses are liking something, I will be attached to it, I will be attracted to it, and I will try to engage my senses in the activities that help me to gain that so-called happiness. And whenever I encounter something that does not satisfy my senses, that displeases my senses, I want to run away from it. So that is what ichha dvesha samuthena dvandva mohena bharata. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, that is the conditioned state of existence where there is ichha and dvesha, raga dvesha. So raga or ichha is where I'm attached to the things that bring me so-called happiness in terms of the senses engaging in their sense objects. And so that is external stimuli. So whenever I'm dependent on external stimuli for my happiness, that kind of happiness is temporary. Yehi sansparshaja bhoga dukkha yona evate. And it has in its womb, it has misery in its womb. Why there is misery in its womb? Because adyantavanta kaunteya. It has a beginning and it has an end. So whatever my senses are liking when it comes in touch with the sense objects, it does not last forever. And even if I try to make it last forever, I will suffer. The example that Prabhupada generally gives is that of someone wanting to eat some nice food stuff that they like. If they like and then they want to eat it more than what they can digest, then they will have digestive problems. So the same thing, the thing that we are attracted to in terms of our eating, if we have that more than what the stomach can digest, we are going to bring in indigestion. So it is the womb of misery. So that's why yukta ahara viharasya, yukta karmasu kaushalam, yukta swapnava bodhasya yogad bhavati dukkha. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that everything should be done moderately. Yukta ahara viharasya. So ahara eating, vihara is recreation. So in moderation, yukta ahara viharasya, yukta karmasu kaushalam, yukta swapnava bodhasya. Swapna is when we are sleeping and in the dream state, and bodha in the waking state. Yoga bhavati dukkha. Then the yoga becomes, that is a real yoga. That is a real connection with Krishna. When one can do everything in moderation, one does not need to become extremely on one side of total renunciation, or one does not need to extremely on the other side of total enjoyment. One can be in the middle path. And that is the yukta ahara viharasya. And when one is in that middle path, doing just the right balance between renunciation and enjoyment, between sleeping and waking up, between recreation and study. So when that balance is just the right balance, then yoga bhavati dukkha. Then the yoga. So yoga is chitta vritti nirodha. So yoga, Patanjali describes, Patanjali is the Ashtanga yoga. He is the creator of the Ashtanga yoga, the 8 limbs of yoga. And the definition that he gives about yoga is chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is chitta vritti nirodha. What does it mean? Chitta vritti. Chitta is the mind, and vritti is the constant fluctuation in the mind. So that is what the mind is all about. There is constantly fluctuation in the mind. And sometimes one is totally in an elated state, sometimes one is totally in a dejected state, depending on what the sense perceptions are coming into us. So that is the conditioned state of existence. What is the state of existence when we are in yoga? When we are in connection with Krishna, then Krishna actually mentions sama dukkhe, sukha dukkhe same kritva, labha labha jaya jayo, tato yuddhaya yujjasva, naivam papam avapsisi. Krishna says to Arjuna that when one is same, in equanimous state of mind, whether there is sukha, happiness, or dukkha, the sorrow, sukha dukkhe same kritva, in the equanimous state of mind, labha alabha jaya jayo. One is getting some profit or one is not getting profit. One is victorious or one is not victorious. So this is the nature of this material world, dvandva. Dvandva means duality. The material world is based on duality. So therefore, the person who is in love with Krishna is dvandvair vimukta. And they are free from the dualities of this material nature. Sukha dukkha sange. And they are equanimous in both happiness and distress. Gachyantya mudha padam avyayam tat. Such a person is amudha, not a foolish person. It's a learned person. And where does such a person goes? Reach padam avyayam. That is the transcendental state of existence. That is at the spiritual planets of Vaikuntha Loka. Nirmana moha jitasanga dosha. So when someone does not have mana and moha, pride and attachment, and jitasanga dosha. Sanga is attachment. So one has conquered the attachment. Adhyatma nitya vinivritta kama. So one is constantly engaged in spiritual pursuits. Adhyatma nitya vinivritta kama. One has given up the lust. Dvandvair vimukta sukha dukkha sangha. One is free from the dualities of material nature and one is equanimous either in happiness or in distress. And so such a person is padam avyayam tat, reaches the transcendental. So that was the situation of all the wonderful Vande Nanda Vrajastrinam Padarenum Abhikshnasha Yasam Hari Katodgitam Punati Bhunatrayam. So Uddhava, so Krishna asks Uddhava to go to Vṛndāvana. Uddhava was one of the stalwart ministers, Vrishninam Paravaro Mantri. And so he was very learned person, learned in Brahman and Paramatma. Bhagavan also, but more in terms of the Aishwarya Bhava of Bhagavan. Awe and reverence in terms of love for Krishna. But his main was in terms of the Jnana Marga, in terms of the understanding of Brahman, that everything is Lord's energy. And because of that, Lord can be seen everywhere. So that's more of a Brahman kind of situation. But Bhagavan's situation is when one understands that Krishna, whose effulgence is Brahman, can have and has a personal form. So this is Venam Konantam Aravinda Dalaya Taksham Bharhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govinda Madipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. So this is Krishna's transcendental, divine, eternal Nava Yavanam form, eternally youth. So this is Chintamani Prakara Sadmashu Kalpa Vriksha Laksha Vrteshu Surabhirapi Palayantam Lakshmi Sahasra Shata Sambrahma Sevyamanam Govinda Madipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. So this is Krishna in his Goloka Vṛndāvana Dham, where everything is in love with Krishna. And because everyone and everything is in love with Krishna, they love each other as well. Because Yatha tarora mula nishechanena tripyanti tatskanda bhujopashaka pranopaharascha yatendriyanam tatha sarvarhanam achyutejya. So very beautiful verse in Srimad-Bhāgavatam where it is said that Yatha tarora mula nishechanena tripyanti tatskanda bhujopashaka. So when we water the root of the tree, automatically the whole tree gets nourished. We do not need to water the branches, the twigs and the leaves. We just need to water the root and automatically the whole tree gets nourished. Similarly, we need to give the food to the stomach and then the whole body gets nourished. Pranopahara shaitindriyana. So similarly, when we love Krishna, when there is pure love for Krishna, automatically the love for all the living entities happens. It is automatic. Why? Because the Lord is present in the heart of all the living entities in the form of Paramatma. So upadrashta anumanta cha bharta bhokta maheshwara paramatmiti cha apyukto dehesmin purusha para sarvasya chaham hridisannivishtam attasmritir jnanam apovanam cha. So this is Krishna present in the heart of all the living entities as Paramatma, upadrashta, as an overseer. So he oversees and then he gives permission. So if someone is adamant to do some activity, then Krishna gives the permission. Krishna does not force anyone. So this is the wonderful nature of the Lord, that he gives them the independence. And basing on what the living entity is doing with their independence, they are either in a good state or in a bad state, in a conditioned material existence. If they are misusing their independence and trying to enjoy without any restriction, then unfortunately they will have to suffer the consequences. But if someone is bhoktaram yajyatapasam sarvalokamaheshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam gyatvam shantim uchyate. If someone understands that actually Krishna is the real enjoyer of everything, of all the activities that we do and all the renunciation and austerities that we do, that Krishna is the actual enjoyer. Bhoktaram yajyatapasam. Krishna is the actual proprietor of everything, including our own body and mind. So we are, in a way, it is like a tenant. So Srila Prabhupada also gives this example in many of his lectures and talks. He says about the living entity actually, because the living entity is there in this particular body for a particular amount of time, and then the body has to be given up. So it is like being a tenant. So actual owner is the Lord. And when someone is living as a tenant, one has to give the rent to the landlord. So this is the kshetra kshetrajna. So Krishna mentions about kshetra, the field, and the knower of the field. So this field, idam shariram kaunteya kshetram iti abhidiyate etadnyo iti tam prahu kshetrajnam tadvidhi. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that the body is like a field, and the knower of the field is the kshetrajna. So kshetrajna is, so we are in association with Paramatma, the Atma and Paramatma. They are, so Atma, when it is under the, so when the mind has got more influence on our existence, the mind that is constantly going after sense objects, if that has more influence on us, then we are on the platform of false ego. Ahankara vimodhatma karta hamiti manyate. Because I think that I am this body, I think that I am this mind, I think that I am this senses, then the enjoyment of my body, the enjoyment of my mind, the enjoyment of my senses becomes the most prominent aspect of my activities. All my activities will be going in such a direction that I try to get maximum enjoyment out of my body, mind, and the senses. But if I understand that this is Krishna's, that the body is Krishna's, the mind is Krishna's, and all the activities of the senses are Krishna's, then automatically I will be attracted to Krishna. And that is our natural state. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabonal. Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Koroya Uday. So it is said in Chaitanya Charitamrita that this eternal love for Krishna, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema, and that is the love for Krishna, is not something that is external. Sadhya. Now there is sadhak, sadhana, and sadhya. There are three things. Sadhak is a person who is trying to attain Krishna. Sadhana is the activity that one is doing in order to attain Krishna. And sadhya is Krishna himself. So the sadhak is doing sadhana to reach the sadhya. So this is the way of progression. But sadhya is not something that is external. The Lord, yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha me pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sacha me na pranashyati. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, someone who sees me in everything and everything in me, I am never lost to such a person, and such a person is not never lost to me. So this is the way of remembering Krishna. Rasoham apsu kaunteya prabhasmi shashi suryo pranavas sarva vedeshu shabdam khe parusham nrishu. So Krishna says that I am the taste in the water. So, or any drink that one is drinking, any kind of taste one is tasting, immediately one can remember Krishna. Prabhasmi, whenever we see the light of the sun or the moon, immediately we can remember Krishna. Prabhasmi shashi suryo pranavas sarva vedeshu. There is Om mantra in all the Vedic mantras. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Narayanaya. So there are so many mantras that begin with Om, majority. So then immediately when there is one is saying Om, Om iti ekaksharam mantram vyaharan man anusmaran ya prayati tyajan deham yati nasti atra samshaya. So someone is saying Om and remembering Krishna, and at the time of death one is leaving the body. Krishna says that such a person will come back to me. So that is Pranavas Sarva Vedeshu. Shabdam Khe. Any kind of sound that comes in the ether, in the space that the Lord is. Any kind of sound. So Paurusham Nrishu. Any kind of ability that we see in any person. Any ability, even if it's a small ability, big ability, or some Athava bahunetena kim gyatena tavarjuna vishtabhyaham vidam kritsnam ekam shena sthito jagat. So Krishna in the end says that, what more can I say to you, Arjuna? With just a fragment of my energy, the whole material universe is subsisting. So it is just Krishna's, this is the transcendental position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is the basis of understanding of this verse. So when we come to this verse, kaumārīṁ darśayaṁś ceṣṭāṁ prekṣaṇīyāṁ vraja-okasām rudan eva hasan mugdha bāla-siṁhāvalokanaḥ. So in this particular verse, Uddhava is talking about Krishna's pastime, childhood pastime. Kaumārīṁ darśayaṁś ceṣṭāṁ. So ceṣṭāṁ is his activities. Which activities? During his childhood. What Krishna is showing his childhood pastimes. So Nemam virinchi na bhavo na shri rapi anga samshaya prasada lebhire gopi yatat prapa vimuktidata. It is mentioned in Srimad-Bhāgavatam about Yashodamai. So it is said that not even Lord Brahma, Nemam virinchi na bhavo, nor Lord Shiva, na Shri Rapi Anga Samshaya, nor Lakshmi Devi, who is constantly at the feet of Krishna Narayana, always serving Krishna, Api Anga Samshaya, Prasada Lebiro Gopi Yatat Prapa Vimuktida. All these wonderful personalities like Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Devi Lakshmi, they have not got this wonderful position as Mother Yashoda. So this is the so this is a wonderful state of the pure devotees of Krishna. That they are able to control Krishna. So this is Krishna, who controls the whole material and spiritual universes, gets controlled by pure devotional service. So this is the wonderful nature of pure devotional service. Jnane prayase udapasya namanta eva jivanti sanmukharitam bhavadiyavartham sthane sthita shrutigata tanuvan manobhir ye prayase ajita jitopi asitais trilokyam. So Krishna's one name is Ajita. So he cannot be one. Natat samaschabhyadikascha drishyate. Parasya shaktir vividhaiva shriyate. So this is natat samas. So this is Krishna. There is no one equal to or greater than Krishna. Natasya karanam karanam cha vidyate. So he does not have any cause. And he does not need to do anything. So actually, everything can get done by his energy. He does not have to personally come to do anything. But paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Krishna descends because he wants to engage in these wonderful pastimes with his pure devotees. And so this is the main reason. And then the secondary reason is vinashaya cha dushkritam. So he wants to annihilate the miscreants. And then the second reason is dharma samsthapanarthaya. So that is the to re-establish the religious principles. But the first is paritranaya sadhuna. And so to deliver the pure devotees. And so the pure devotees are constantly in remembrance of Krishna. Smartavya satatam Vishnu. Vismartavyam na jatuchit. Always remembering Krishna and never forgetting Krishna. That is the nature of the pure devotees of Krishna. And when they are in that state, so then once they have perfected this, they are given this wonderful opportunity of being directly involved in Krishna's pastimes. And that is what is happening here. So the vraja-okasām. Vande nanda vrajastrinam padrenam bhikshnisa yasam hari kathodgitam punati bhunatrayam. So we were talking about Uddhava coming to Vṛndāvana. So Uddhava was the person who was more into Jnana Marga rather than Bhakti Marga initially. And therefore Krishna actually asked Uddhava to go to Vṛndāvana. So there he met the gopis and he understood the wonderful divine love that the gopis had for Krishna. And then he said this wonderful prayer. Vande nanda vrajastrinam. Let me offer my respectful obeisances to Padarenum abhikshnasha. Let me take the dust of their lotus feet, of the wonderful cowherd damsels of Vraja. Yasam Hari Kathodgitam. They are constantly doing Hari Katha. They are constantly involved in talking about Krishna and singing about Krishna. Punati Bhunatrayam. The whole three worlds are getting purified. Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam kavibhiriditam kalmashapaham shravana mangalam Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam bhuvi grananti ye bhuridajana. So this is the Gopi Gita. The gopis are singing Kathamrita, the nectarian pastimes of Krishna. Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam. This material life is like a blazing fire of existence. So when one is drinking the nectar of the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is cooling down this forest fire-like situation in this material world. That is what it is. So samsara dava nalalidha loka tranaya karunya ghana ghanatva praptasya kalyana gunarnavasya vande guru shri charanarvindam. So this is what the guru is providing. Guru is providing that freedom from the scorching fire of material existence, which is like a forest fire. They generally say that when the forest fire starts and how it starts, it's very difficult to find out. But when it is there, it is very difficult for it to get, for it to go away. Like once it starts, it's there for very long time. So even one puts in lots and lots of water, but the only way it can be taken away quickly is when there is profuse rain. When there is profuse rain from the sky, automatically the forest fire will get dissolved, will be taken away. So this, when these talks of Krishna is happening, and when we are going deep into these talks, like that of Uddhava and Mahatma Vidura, then we are coming out of this conditioned state of existence. So here, when we can keep our mind in those pastimes, just remember those pastimes. So mana eva manushyanam karanam moksha bandhane bandhaya vishaya sangam mokshaya nirvishaya mana. So it is mentioned in the scriptures that mind itself is the cause of bondage, and mind itself is the cause of liberation. When the mind is attached to sense objects, it is in bondage. When the mind is detached from sense objects, it is in liberation. So that is how can vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. So Krishna mentions how the mind becomes detached from sense objects when the mind is attached to Krishna. Maya sakta manah partha yogam yunjam madashayam ashamsayam asamshayam samagram mam yatha jnasisi tatshrunu. So when the mind is attached to Krishna, mai asakta manah partha yogam yunjam madashrayam. So then one does yoga in connection with Krishna, totally being ashraya, totally in Krishna's shelter. When we are taking shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna and getting attached to Krishna, mai asakta manapartha yogam yunjam madashrayam asamshayam samugram ma. So Krishna says that without any doubt and in full, in total, you will know me. Yatha jnasasi tatshrunu. How you will know me? By hearing about me. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam swakatha Krishna punya shravana kirtana hridayanta soya bhadrani vidunoti suhrit satam prasangat mama virya samvido bhavanti hritkarna rasayana katha. So this is when this discussion of Krishna takes place between the devotees of the Lord. Satam prasangat. What? Mama virya samvido. Krishna's wonderful pastimes. So this is Krishna's wonderful pastime. Kaumārīṁ darśayaṁś ceṣṭāṁ. So Krishna, in his childhood, prekṣaṇīyāṁ vraja-okasām. So it is worthy to be seen, these wonderful pastimes of the Lord. And who are involved in these pastimes? The inhabitants of the land of Vṛndāvana, vraja-okasām. Rudann iva hasan mugdha. So it's crying and laughing, stuck with wonder, mugdha. So this is, we can understand this quite a lot when we see children in our conditioned state of existence. So they are so much, we get so much joy out of watching children, their activities. And this is like a child who has actually got a conditioned existence in a conditioned material body. And what to speak of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. So even in the conditioned state, one becomes so much enraptured. One becomes so much. The mind becomes really mesmerized by the activities of a child. What to speak of being engaged in looking at the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, as a child. And this is where Nabe Vidu Suragana Prabhavana Maharshaya Aham Madhyavi Devana Maharshinam cha Sarvasha. So when the Supreme Personality of Godhead comes in like this small child, like an innocent child, even the great demigods get bewildered. So that's where we see the Brahma Vimohana Leela. Brahma gets a little bit bewildered by seeing these activities of Krishna in Vṛndāvana. And then he says that I want to test whether Krishna is actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so then what he does, he steals the cows, the calves, and the cowherd friends of Krishna. And we see that Krishna himself expands as the cows, as the calves, as the cowherd friends. And one of the wonderful things that happens in that pastime of Krishna is that when these cows, calves, and the cowherd friends, who are Krishna, disguised as those people, go to their respective families, the families feel more attachment to Krishna in that form. And this is a very great lesson that we can learn from that pastime, that any kind of attachment we have is happening because the core reason is Krishna is behind it. Aham atma gudakesha sarva bhutashaya stita. Aham adishcha madhyam cha bhutanam antameva cha. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that he is actually Atma as well. Because Atma is part and parcel of Paramatma. Mamai vamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. Manaha ceṣṭāṁ indriyani prakriti sani karshati. So all the living entities are eternal part and parcels of Krishna. So therefore Krishna actually says, Aham atma gudha kesha. That I am the spirit soul as well, in a way. Krishna, because they are part and parcels of Krishna. So therefore, when Krishna assumes the form of those living entities, the relatives of those living entities feel more attraction to their family members. And this is really wonderful. So this shows that our natural attraction for Krishna is the topmost. There is no other attraction, stronger attraction than that. And therefore, Krishna, the word Krishna itself means karshayati, iti Krishna. Akarshayati. So karshayati, akarshan is attraction. So someone who attracts everyone to him, that is Krishna. So natural attraction is there for Krishna. So why is it that not all living entities are attracted to Krishna? Because unfortunately there is dhumena avritam vahanir yatha adarshana malena cha yatho bena avritam garbhas tatha tenedam avritam. So there is covering. Because there is different types of covering that we have, the natural attraction for Krishna is somehow not seen. But Shravana adi shuddha chitte karaya hota hai. But when we hear about Krishna with purity, with humility, that is extremely important. Amanitvam adambitvam. That humility is extremely important to understand the pastimes of Krishna and the instructions of Krishna. If one is not in that platform of humility, then unfortunately, tamaham dvishatah kruran samsareshu naradhaman kshipami ajasram ashubhan asurishva eva yonishu. Unfortunately, the people, if they are antagonistic to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then they are themselves creating an unfortunate hellish environment for them. So it's not that the Lord is being partial. The Lord is just reciprocating. So basically, ye yatha mam prapadyante tam sthataiva bhajamyaham. So whatever way one comes to the Lord reciprocates accordingly. And the Lord says bhajamyaham. So this is the wonderful nature of Krishna, that he, so just like the devotee is doing bhajan tyananya manaso gyatva bhutavadim avyayam. So mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakritim ashrita bhajan tananya manaso gyatva bhutadim avyayam. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that a mahatma, a great soul, is under the protection of the divine energy of Krishna. Daivim prakritim ashrita. And what does one do under the protection of divine energy of Krishna? Bhajant ananya manaso gyatva. one is constantly remembering Krishna and rendering loving devotion service to Krishna. Ananya manasa, ananya cheta satatam yo mam smarati nityasha, tasyaham sulabha partha, nitya yuktasya yogina. So Krishna says that one who is constantly remembering me, satatam, nityasha, always, tasyaham sulabha partha. Krishna says that for such a person I am easily available. Why? Because nitya yuktasya yogina, because this yogi, this person who is attached to me, is constantly trying to remember me. So then Krishna becomes sulabha, easily available. So Jnani prayase udapasya namante eva jivanti sanmukharitam bhav sthane sthita shrutigata tanuvan manobhe. So one does not need to leave one's place. One can be situated in what place one is, but shrutigata tanuvan manobhe. Try and hear about Krishna as much as possible through tanu, vak, and manobhir. So through the body, through the speech, and through the mind. Then what happens? Ye prayase ajita jitopyasi. So Krishna, who is unconquerable, becomes conquered. So we see that in the Damodar Leela as well. We see how So Krishna, and this is the Damodar Leela would be a very beautiful example of rudann eva hasan mugdha, the third line. So he's getting sad, crying, and angry as well. So we see in the Damodar Leela where Mother Yashoda is giving milk to Krishna, and then the milk on the milk which is kept for boiling starts coming out. So she leaves Krishna and goes to attend that milk. And then Krishna becomes angry, breaks all the butter pots. And here we actually see Srila Prabhupada mentioning in the purport as well. A child may insist on having something and cry like anything to get it, disturbing the whole neighborhood. And then immediately after achieving the desired thing, he laughs. Such crying and laughing is enjoyable to the parents and elderly members of the family. So the Lord would simultaneously cry and laugh in this way and merge his devotee parents in the humor of transcendental pleasure. And so this is the Damodar Leela is very beautifully describing that as well. So Krishna is getting angry. First Krishna gets angry, breaks the pots, and then Mother Yashoda gets angry, and then she takes a stick and runs after him. She catches him, and then in the wooden mortar, she wants to tie Krishna. And she starts with a small rope, because only small rope should be needed for a small boy. But she has to keep adding the ropes, all her house, all her neighborhood, and all the Vṛndāvana, and still Krishna does not get tied. And then finally, when Krishna sees that Mother Yashoda is really tired and she has been trying to tie him for so long, then he allows himself to be tied. So this is the this is the wonderful pastime of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the Acharyas say that the two main, it was always 2 fingers short. The Acharyas say that the rope was always 2 fingers short, and the 2 fingers that they talk about is, one is the endeavor of the devotee, and the second is the acceptance of the Lord. So that those are the 2 things. So Yashodamai was trying so much for so long that finally Krishna gave the permission for himself to be bound. And this is what happens. This is that wonderful pastime of Krishna as kaumārīm in the childhood pastimes. And then rudann eva hasan mugdha. So he gets angry, then Mother Yashoda gets angry. Then when he gets caught, he's crying, and then he runs away with the wooden mortar. He liberates Nalakora and Manigriva, who were there as a tree. And then finally, he is. So after everything is over, Krishna probably apologizing to Mother Yashoda, and then they are happy, and they are laughing. So all the types of emotions are there in the pastimes of Krishna. And this is the wonderful nature of Krishna Katha. That it is because in the conditioned state of existence, it is the emotions that capture us. And just imagine this transcendental divine emotions. If we can get submerged in that, what better way of using the time, getting submerged in this wonderful pastimes of Krishna. Bāla-siṁhāvalokanaḥ. So Srila Prabhupada actually gives the example of the lion cub as well. Sometimes when attacked in the forest by demons, Krishna would appear struck with wonder. But he looked on them like the cub of a lion and killed them. His childhood companions would also be struck with wonder. And when they came back home, they would narrate the story to their parents, and everyone would appreciate the qualities of their Krishna. Their Krishna. So this is wonderful. So everyone considers Krishna as their own. And this is another wonderful nature of Vṛndāvana. And everyone has got their own unique relationship with Krishna. That is totally unique to that particular person. It cannot be compared with any other person. So child Krishna did not belong only to his parents Nanda and Yashoda. He was the son of all the elderly inhabitants of Vṛndāvana and the friend of all contemporary boys and girls. Everyone loved Krishna. He was the life and soul of everyone, including the animals, the cows, and the calves. So this is the. So if you want to conclude this particular verse, kaumārīṁ, darśayaṁś, ceṣṭāṁ, prekṣaṇīyāṁ, vraja-okasām, rudan iva hasan mugdha, bāla-siṁhāvalokanaḥ. When the Lord displayed his activities just suitable for childhood, he was visible only to the residents of Vṛndāvana. Sometimes he would cry and sometimes laugh just like a child. And while so doing, he would appear like a lion cub. So here, if you want to take away kind of from this verse, the main takeaway is if we can somehow or other become engrossed in these wonderful pastimes of Krishna, then the human form of life, the real use of human form of life has been achieved. Because the human form of life is durlabham manusham janma. It is very rarely attained. Srila Prahlad Maharaj says, kaumārīṁ macharet prajñā dharman bhagavataniha. This human form of life is very rarely attained. Durlabham manusham janmam tadapi adhruvam artadam. And even though it is rarely attained, it is temporary. And it is the greatest wealth we have. So somehow or other, if we can, man mana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru, mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosime. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, somehow or other, if we can remember these wonderful pastimes of Krishna, which is when he is childhood, for example, kaumārīṁ darśayaṁś ceṣṭāṁ, prekṣaṇīyāṁ vraja-okasām, rudan iva hasan mugdha, bāla-siṁhāvalokanaḥ. So if we can remember these pastimes, that means we have given our mind to Krishna. Man mana bhava. Mad bhakta. We become devotee of Krishna. Madhyaji. Mam namaskuru. We are offering our obeisances to Krishna. We are offering our prayers to Krishna. Then mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijani priyosime. Krishna says that surely you'll come back to me, O Arjuna. Satyam te. This is the truth. Why I'm telling this to you? Pratijane priyosime. Because you are very dear to me, Arjuna. I'm telling this to you that give your mind to me. Remember me always. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dhridavrata. namasyantashya mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. And so this is the, somehow or other, if we can, when we are doing some work, so at that particular time, maybe we are not able to remember these pastimes, but whenever we are having so-called free time, and the free time happens, it's not that one cannot get free time. There is certain amount of free time that we all get during the 24 hours in a day. And if we can just go into these pastimes when we get that time, or there are some activities where the mind can be focused on Krishna while doing the activities. So if that can happen, and if we can continue to focus, be in that situation, then even while living in this material world, we are in touch with Krishna. Iha yasya harer dasya karmana manasa gira nikilasva api avasthasu jivan mukta savichyate. One is in a liberated state even while living in the conditioned material world. So with that, I would like to thank you all very much for listening. Śrīmad-Bhāgavad ki jai, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale. Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine. Sarvam Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Krishna Materastu. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.